With the Summer Games Fest coming to an end, we've seen many new titles from all kinds of studios serving genres of all tastes, from racing to first-person shooters and even to dusty RTS. But there was one game in particular that I'm most excited about, and I think many players don't know why. The latest trailer for the System Shock remake reignited my interest in telling you about my favorite genre of games that not many people really know the name of or how to categorize it: the Immersive Sim. Now, some of you might be deep enough ingrained in the YouTube gaming sphere, or simply old enough that you might know this genre already. But for everybody else, let me give you a short explanation of what defines the Immersive Sim and makes it so special. Even if you've never heard of the genre itself, you probably know quite a few Immersive Sims. Dishonored, Deus Ex, Prey, or the aforementioned System Shock are prime examples of the genre and are still widely considered on top of the overall tier list. And they all have one big thing in common: player choice. What defines the genre isn't necessarily its style or perspective. Immersive Sims are games that are built on player choice from top to bottom, not because of some arbitrary dialogue decisions or will I go left or right, but rather because the individual levels in the game's inner workings are built around rules and the player's abilities, with a heavy focus on RPG aspects. Essentially, they are all about putting you in a semi-open, simulated environment, giving you a bunch of tools to achieve a certain goal, and letting you interact with the world the way you choose. How you get to the end goal or how you resolve it is ultimately up to you, with the developers trying to stay out of your way and giving you as many creative options as possible. Even though over the years Immersive Sim has been considered a genre, which makes sense, I would actually argue that it should mostly be seen as more of a game design philosophy. If we look at an example like the latest Hitman trilogy, we can see a lot of similarities. The whole game is built around player choice and giving you many tools to achieve your goal the way you want to, but it's just not an immersive sim in the traditional sense. Sadly, most games in the genre seem to be very misunderstood and underappreciated for what they achieved. Games like Deus Ex Mankind Divided received a very poor first impression with the whole pre-order debacle going on when it was announced, with a marketing campaign that just wasn't very helpful to make it a very big commercial success. It didn't necessarily sell poorly, but for the amount of work, it probably isn't enough, which is most likely why we haven't seen or heard anything about a sequel since 2016. With upcoming releases like Stalker 2 or the System Shock remake, the future of Immersive Sims looks bright. Arcane Studios, the guys that made Dishonored and Prey, are still chugging along and keeping the spirit and design philosophy of the genre alive in their new creations. After making all these great games, I'm very excited for the upcoming release Redfall, combining the classic Arcane Studios feeling with co-op action. It's not an immersive sim, sure, but it's interesting, and from what I've heard in their interviews, still follows a similar philosophy. My biggest hope is honestly that the freedom and simulation aspect of the genre spreads far and wide in the video game landscape, especially since we have so many open world games nowadays. Most of them just feel stale, uninteresting, and detached from their story. Breath of the Wild was a very great example of how you can add a problem-solving aspect to the open world, and if more games learn from that approach, then gaming is on a great path. I haven't had as much fun playing games as I had recently since Halo 3 or maybe Payday 2 when playing through all the immersive sims I've missed. Even with all the games I've played since then, they were never able to fulfill and scratch a certain itch that only games like Hitman, Dishonored, or Deus Ex were able to scratch. Familiarizing yourself with the world's rules and then coming up with your own solutions can be so very satisfying. Exploring and finding a secret vent or a cave entrance that leads you to a vantage point makes you feel like a mastermind coming up with a grand plan to execute. The freedom to go your own way is what makes games so good. I'm hopeful for more immersive sims and games like it, and hope that you will give some of them a shot. You might already have one in your Steam library. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time, and take care.